Thanks for making time to learn about water, NIMAC, and accessible educational materials. Through a contract with the Wyoming Department of Education Special Services Division, we provide services in the acquisition, appropriate use, and integration of accessible educational materials for students with disabilities. Both the Every Student Succeeds Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act include compelling requirements for state and local education agencies to ensure that all students, including those with disabilities, receive the support and services they need to access, participate, and achieve in the general educational curriculum. Unfortunately, the printed textbooks and instructional materials used in the general education curriculum are not useful to many students with disabilities. These students require another way to gain the information needed to participate and achieve in the general curriculum. For many students, this need can be addressed by providing the students with the identical information in one or more specialized formats: Braille, large print, audio, and/or digital. When specialized formats and supports for use are well matched to a student individual's needs and abilities, the result can mean that the difference between inclusion and achievement. Recognizing the importance of ensuring that all students have instructional materials in formats that are useful to them, the Office of Special Education Programs of the United States Department of Education has funded several projects that are designed to help improve the quality, availability, and timely delivery of accessible educational materials to K-12 students with disabilities. This includes the American Printing House for the Blind, Bookshare, Learning Ally, and National Center on Accessible Educational Materials, or the AEM Center. The work of the past projects have been incorporated into the continued work of the National Center for Accessible Educational Materials, AEM Center. The National Center provides knowledge development, technical assistance, and leadership to state and local education agencies, as well as the other stakeholders in the massive collaboration effort involved in getting high-quality accessible materials into the hands of students who need them. The focus of this Part 1 workshop is on the legal issues and definitions related to accessible educational materials. Additional resources and materials will spotlight the array of supports, services, and tools that are available to all states and territories, primarily via the AIM Center website at http://aim.cas.org for the selection, acquisition, and use of AIM in the classroom. In the legal context, IDEA 2004 requires state education agencies and local education agencies to ensure that textbooks and related printed materials are provided in specialized formats to students with print disabilities when needed in a timely manner. CFR Section 300.172. IDEA 2004 also established the National Instructional Materials Accessibility Standard and the National Instructional Materials Access Center. While the intent that all students have materials in the formats that are useful to them is clear, educators, families, and other stakeholders are often unclear about actions to take and also have questions about what some of the terms mean. In this frequently asked questions about these requirements will be explored. What do the regulations of IDEA 2004 requires state education agencies and local education agencies to do? Ensure that all public agencies take all responsible steps to provide educational materials in accessible formats to students with disabilities at the same time as their peers. Adapt the NIMAC standard for a purpose of providing educational materials to persons with print disabilities in a timely manner beginning on July 19, 2006. Establish a state definition of timely manner. Choose whether or not to coordinate with the NIMAC. What is the NIMAC? The National Instructional Materials Access Center, NIMAC, is the national repository that validates, stores, and distributes NIMAC-compliant source files of textbooks and related core materials provided by publishers. Once again, source files from the NIMAC are not student-ready, but each single source can be used to create student-ready materials in all 4 specialized formats. Materials created from source files from the NIMAC can only be used by students who are both served as a student with disabilities under IDEA and certified by a competent authority as having a print disability. Unless a student meets both of these criteria, the NIMAC cannot be used as a source of materials that are provided to the student. What is NIMAS? The National Instructional Material Accessibility Standard, or NIMAS, is a standard file format mandate in IDEA 2004 for textbooks and related printed core instructional materials. A NIMAS source file is not student-ready but must be converted into one of the specialized formats, i.e. Braille, audio, digital, large print, for students' use. This packaged set of files and the images folders are bundled up and sent to the NIMAC for validation and safekeeping. No one sees these files. Each state has their own NIMAS coordinator, and that persons has the responsibility of accessing and downloading these file sets. Additional information on the NIMAC is available on the NIMAC website at http://www.nimac.us/. Publishers can be asked to prepare and send file sets to the NIMAC, and the request can be included in the purchasing contract. There is no downside for states that are willing to coordinate with the NIMAC. First, there is no charge for state education agencies and local education agencies to coordinate with the NIMAC, and no charge for gaining access to the files. As the number and quality of files in the NIMAC increases, there will be a significant reduction in cost to districts. State education agencies and local education agencies are always required to provide accessible educational materials in a timely manner, so why not use the free services of NIMAC? What are print instructional materials? The IDEA statute defines print instructional materials as printed textbooks and related printed core materials that are written and published primarily for use in elementary school and secondary school instruction and are required by a state education agency or local education agency for use by students in a classroom. 20 U.S.C. 1474E3C. What is meant by the term related printed core materials? They are generally thought to be the materials that are published and packaged as a part of the textbooks, i.e. workbooks. The 1996 Chaffee Amendment to the copyright law established an exception to copyright infringement for the reproduction of works for use by the blind or other persons with print disabilities. Who qualifies as having a print disability? Persons certified by a competent authority as having a reading disability resulting from organic dysfunction and of a sufficient severity to prevent their reading printed materials in a normal manner. In cases of blindness, visual disability, or physical limitation, competent authority is defined to include doctors of medicine, doctors of ophthalmology, ophthalmologists, optometrists, registered nurses, therapists, and professional staff of hospitals, institutions, and public or welfare agencies, e.g., social workers, case workers, counselors, rehabilitation teachers, and superintendents. In the absence of any of these, certifications may be made by professional librarians or by any persons whose competence under specific circumstances is acceptable to the Library of Congress. In the case of reading disabilities from organic dysfunction, competent authorities is defined as a doctor of medicine who may consult with colleagues in associated disciplines. What are the specialized formats? There are 4 specialized formats included in IDEA: Braille, large print, audio, and digital, which are described below. These represent the array of student-ready formats that can be produced in several ways, including from a single XML source file that has been developed in accordance with the technical specifications of the NIMAC. What is Braille? Braille is a tactile system of reading and writing made up of raised dot patterns for letters, numbers, and punctuation marks used by people with visual impairments. Braille may either be embossed, a permanent printed material, or refreshable, electronically generated and accessed via a Braille display device. What is large print is generally defined as print that is larger than the print size commonly used by the general population, 8 through 12 points in size. Some use a guideline for defining large print as 18 points in size or larger. A document rendered in the large print format usually has more white space and may or may not look like the original document, but contains the same information. Large print may be printed on pages that are the same size as a standard textbook or on pages of a larger size. What is audio? The audio format renders the content as speech to which the student listens. The audio format includes human speech or synthesized electronic speech. What is digital format? The digital format delivers electronic text and graphics that are rendered on a computer or some other device. This format has both visual and audio output that may be displayed individually or together. Electronic text can be changed in many ways, contrast, read aloud, etc., to accommodate the needs and preferences of the user. How the material is presented to the user depends on the student's needs upon the technology being used. What does in a timely manner mean? IDEA 2004 requires each state to define what it means in their state. Generally, it means at the same time that other students receive their core instructional materials in print format. The gold standard for timely manner is at the same time that the other students receive their printed materials. So if other students get their textbooks the first day of school, then the student using an audio version should get the audio version of the same textbook on the same day. What many states have done is to include a clause related to extenuating circumstances. For example, if a student moves into the school district and needs a Braille textbook, it might not be available. But anytime there is a delay in getting those materials, then there would be the understanding that the delay would be addressed so it did not occur on a regular basis. What many states have done is to include a clause related to extenuating circumstances. For example, if a student moves into a district and needs a Braille textbook, it might not be available. But anytime there is a delay in getting those materials, then there would be the understanding that the delay would be addressed so it did not occur on a regular basis. There's a 4-step process to ensure AIM. Comprehensive evaluation to identify the needs of the student. Select specialized formats needed by the student for educational participation and achievement. Locate state education agencies or local education agencies' defined steps to acquire needed formats in a timely manner. Determine supports needed for effective use for educational participation and achievement. The next module will focus on the decision-making process and will look closely on how each of the steps requires good thinking to determine whether or not the student may need AIM. Included in Module 2 will be an introduction to several tools developed by the AIM Consortium that supports teams with decision-making at every step of process.